Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into something really powerful. What does it actually mean to be helped by God? We're going to break down a sermon that unpacks this, all centered around a Hebrew name, EL-EZAH.
So the whole sermon really hinges on this one big idea. Your biggest achievements, your greatest feats, what the apostle calls your exploits, they're not just random, they are directly connected to how well you actually know God.
All right, so here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll look at what knowing your God even means. Then, we'll get into the meaning of help, why we all need it, how God actually helps us, and finally, what makes that help truly effective.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning, right? The foundation of strength. If everything rides on this knowledge of God, then the obvious question is, well, how do you get it? How does that work?
The sermon lays out four main ways. Through the scriptures, studying Jesus, and just your own life experiences. And look, all of those are huge. But for what we're talking about today, we're really going to zero in on one pathway in particular, getting to know God by understanding His names.
And that's the perfect lead-in to the heart of this whole thing, unpacking the name EL-EZAH. So, EL-EZAH, in Hebrew, it means God my helper or God who has helped me. And you hear the word help and you think, okay, I get it, simple. But hold on, in this context, it's way more than that. It's actually got these three deep layers to it that we really need to understand. And this is so important. When we're talking about this divine help, it's not just, someone lending you a hand. It's one of these three massive things. It could be direct support and assistance. It could be this incredible strength and empowerment. The sermon calls it enabling grace, which is basically a supernatural ability to do something you just couldn't do on your own. Or it could be a full-on rescue and deliverance. Big difference, right? And at the end of the day, whether it's support, strength, or rescue, all of it boils down to two main jobs: making the impossible possible and making the difficult easy. That's the whole point.
Okay, so we get what it is. But why is it so critical? Why do we need this help so badly? Well, the sermon points to three, let's call them uncomfortable realities about life.
First up is the fact that all of us, even at our absolute best, are limited. It doesn't matter how smart you are, how hard you work, how great your vision is. The sermon makes the point that you just can't completely direct your own steps. We're all a bit fragile in that way.
And then there's reason number two, which, man, this one hits home. It's the human factor. Think about it. You can do everything right. You can wake up early, be the most diligent person in the room, have all the skills, but then someone else's bias or greed or just plain old injustice can come along and completely shut you down. All your effort, blocked.
And the third reality is a spiritual one. The sermon is very clear on this. There are active, unseen forces, Satan and demonic forces, that are literally determined to fight against you and your destiny. So, okay, we're limited, we face human roadblocks, and there's spiritual opposition. It's pretty clear why we need help. The next logical question is, how does God actually deliver that help? What does it look like?
Well, according to this teaching, there are five main channels. You've got direct supernatural intervention, angels, the prophetic, and the Holy Spirit. And those are all incredible, for sure. But we're going to focus on the one channel that's described as the most common, the one that shows up in our day-to-day lives.
And that channel is what's called the ministry of men. It's a simple but profound idea. Most of the time, God's help comes to you through other people. Men and women become the carriers of that support or that strength or that rescue you need.
And here's where it gets really, really interesting. It's not just people in general. These human helpers are broken down into three different levels. You've got people above you, mentors, people who can endorse you. You've got people on your level, your friends, your allies. And then, and this is wild, you've got people below you. And this can be aides, or get this, even your critics.
Yeah, and that leads to this kind of mind-bending quote here. It highlights a really surprising idea from the sermon. Sometimes help shows up disguised as trouble. It can come in the form of adversity, a betrayal, what he calls a Judas. And our first instinct would be to fight it. But sometimes that very thing is what's necessary to push you into your destiny.
All right, this brings us to the final and maybe the most practical piece of this whole puzzle. And it's a huge distinction. Not all help is created equal. The quality of the help matters a lot.
So according to the teaching, there are two ways that help can be totally ineffective. First, it can be too late. It shows up after the battle is already lost. Think of Lazarus' sister saying, "If only you had been here. The moment has passed." The other way it fails is by being insignificant. It might show up on time, but it's just not enough to fix the problem. It's like needing a life-saving surgery and someone gives you a Band-Aid.
So what's the goal? The ideal is what the Bible calls help in time of need. And notice the wording there. It's not just help. It's help that shows up at the exact right moment and is powerful enough and significant enough to actually solve the problem.
And that really brings it all home, doesn't it? The point is that help can come too late or it can be totally insignificant. So the prayer, the desire, isn't just for any help. It's for help that avoids those two traps. Help that's on time and help that's big enough to do the job.
And that's really the final question for all of us to think about, right? When you're looking for help in your own life, what are you actually seeking? Is it just something, anything? Or are you seeking help that is powerful and timely and truly enough to make a real difference?